Hey guys, thanks for stopping by again today. Hopefully everyone is healthy and doing well these days. For those of you who currently can't get out and ride, well, that sucks. Tough break. Just kidding. Those of you who follow this channel already know that I purchased the Maverick Sport XRC recently. Since then, I've been asked many times why I didn't go for the Maverick X3 XRC instead. So, going along with that question and line of thinking, I decided the subject of this video would be a comparison of the two. I'll probably throw in some of my biased opinions for and against the two machines. So, first things first, I'll refer to the Sport XRC as the Sport, and I'll refer to the X3 XRC as just the X3. So, let's talk about the obvious horsepower difference. First comparison. The X3, it comes in at 120 horsepower, and that is produced by the Rotax 900cc turbocharged 3-cylinder engine. The Sport comes in at 100 horsepower, and that's produced by a 976cc twin-cylinder engine. Both of these engines have been proven to be quite reliable, bulletproof, some would say. However, in my opinion, I think the advantage in this scenario goes to the X3. That 120 horsepower turbocharged engine, it leaves a lot of room to add a lot of power on there pretty easily with some basic tuning, fuel pump, and intercooler. Talk to the guys at Evo, they can hook you up if you already have one of these machines. So for what, like $1,600? You can jump up to 172 horsepower in that machine. So that's pretty cool. On the other hand, the Sport, it's pretty much maxed out already. 100 horsepower. You know, you can get a Dynojet tuner. You might get a few horsepower out of it. You might get some mid gains, that type of stuff. But you're not going to come anywhere near the 120 horsepower that the base model X3 has. So if you guys are trying to decide between the two, definitely keep that in mind. Next thing, ground clearance. The X3 comes in at 14 inches and the Sport comes in at 15. So advantage here goes to the Maverick Sport, and I'm going to say it goes to the Maverick Sport in more than one way. One of the reasons why I like the Sport over the X3 is because, in my opinion, it has more effective ground clearance. And what I mean by that is the Sport doesn't have any trailing arms that you need to worry about dragging over the rocks. For me, it's one of the most cringe-worthy sounds that I hear out there is just those trailing arms slamming on rocks. Ugh. It's kind of like nails on the chalkboard for me. It just drives me crazy, and if I were driving that, I'd just be like thinking I'm beating the crap out of my machine, and that kind of stuff isn't for me. So the Maverick Sport, it's set up with A-arms in the front and the back, which is really pretty cool. You know, you get your front tires up over an obstacle and no trailing arms. You just got to get your back tires on there and it goes right up. You don't have to drag no trailing arms over that. The Maverick X3 XRC, it's set up with a 4-link system. Both machines run the Fox 2.5 podium piggybacks with compression adjustment. Mine is selectable. It's got 3 positions on my Sport XRC. It makes some difference. I haven't played around a whole lot with that. I basically run full soft on mine all the time. Now, alright, remember, I just said it, how awesome it was to have no trailing arms. Well, it also sucks that it doesn't have trailing arms. Hear me out. This is where you really have to consider what's most important to you. You really need to decide what type of riding you're going to be doing, where you're at, and what's going to best suit your needs. In my opinion, the Maverick Sport suspension travel is lacking in comparison to the X3 because of its A-arm setup in the back. The Sport has 14 3/4 inch travel in front and back. The X3 has 18 inches of travel in front and back. Most of your riding is going to be like back east in the mountains, doing a lot of rocky trails, that type of stuff, technical things. I think the Maverick Sport would be an excellent machine for you. And I know there's a lot of guys back east that ride those type of trails and they have this machine. But if you're out west in the desert, or you have a lot of that type of terrain available to you, then I think maybe the X3 model might be a better suit, might be a better fit for you. Just taking my Maverick Sport out in the sand dunes does great. I have a lot of fun out there, and I've actually spent a lot more time in the sand dunes than I ever thought I would, honestly. It's been great. The only place it lacks, in my opinion, is cruising the whoops. It starts bucking and it starts pitching forward, and you just can't go like you can. Like I imagine an X3 would probably go. Garrett in his KRX, his Kawasaki, can just bomb through those whoops like crazy. Me, I'm 25 miles per hour in the deepest ones, and even that's giving me a pretty good ride.
Oh, yep.
Woo, these babies are big!
Too fast. Somebody's bottoming out.
So consider where you're riding for sure. Make sure you pick the machine that's going to best suit your needs. Another thing, personal preference, the huge difference between the two is the seating position. The Sport, it really sits you up higher. It gives you on top of the world sightline. It's a lot better than what the X3 is. The X3 is like sit you low, sit you back, and it's kind of like a race car in there. I don't know if you prefer it that way or if you like to be able to sit up tall and kind of see where you're going, be able to look out and see your tires a lot better. A lot of people add spacers underneath the back mounting point in the X3, and it kind of sits them up a little taller. I've not sat in one to experience that, so I'm not sure how effective that actually is. I imagine it probably helps quite a bit. I've even seen people do that in the Maverick Sport, and I've been considering adding like a 1-inch spacer also myself personally. Another thing, wheelbase. The Maverick Sport wheelbase is 90.6 inches. It gives it, in my opinion, an incredible nimble feeling while you're driving it. You just feel like you can drive around any little obstacle. It just darts in and out of places, and it's a whole lot of fun to ride. I should say drive. You don't ride it. Anyways, the downside is I think it gives you a little bit more of a rough ride, and at high speed, desert riding suffers quite a bit, I think. The X3 has a 102-inch wheelbase, which gives it a little bit more high-speed stability and better performance in, let's say, like the desert whoop section. Both machines come standard with 30-inch Maxxis Liberty tires. They come with a 14-inch aluminum wheel. Both machines have the smart lock option, which is awesome. I love it. It's great. Seems to work flawlessly. I've never had an issue with it yet. If you want to lock your diff, you can do that. If you want to, mine has different modes. It's got a rock mode and a trail mode, and it adjusts how much it locks in that front differential, depending on how much slippage it can feel. Works pretty good, I would say. Both of these machines come with a 4,500-pound winch with synthetic rope included. They both have full skid plates, and some of those skid plates, like on the A-arms and underneath the front bumper and towards the back, are actually a, what do they call it? I think it's HM something or another. I don't even know. HMWPE skid plate. That's what they call it. There's HMW. There's so many now. I don't even know the difference between them. It's better than what's on the underneath belly, that's for sure. Another interesting thing between these two is the storage capacity. I thought my Maverick Sport was lacking in storage. They measure it in gallons. The Maverick Sport has 5.3 gallons of interior storage. The X3 has only 2.5 gallons of storage. In real world terms, that means you can store your wallet and a set of keys in there. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe a hat too. I have no idea. The Sport carries 10 gallons of gas. The X3 has a fuel tank of 10.5 gallons. And while we're on the subject of the gas fuel, Can-Am, get it together. Let's get a fuel gauge in this Maverick Sport that works. Come on. Is it really difficult? I don't understand. I hear so many complaints on the forums, Facebook. Nobody has a gas gauge that works. If you have a gas gauge in a Maverick Sport that works, let me know, because I don't believe it exists. After 70 miles, my machine is dead empty. It's on blinking gas gauge lights on. It's saying, get to the gas station. Well, okay, I'll go to the gas station and I'll put in like 4 gallons. All right, so I have more than a half a tank. This is pathetic. And it's not a Can-Am thing. Kawasaki KRX is terrible, plagued with problems with that fuel gauge also. So it's not specific to Can-Am, but I think it's kind of the UTV world in general. For some reason, some models have issues. Maybe it's the shape of the fuel tank. I don't know. But if they're going to have a fuel gauge, let's get one that works. Come on. Anyways, rant over. By the way, my Defender, dead on.
Getting into a brand new machine.
Towing capacity. Maverick Sport XRC has a towing capacity of 1,500 pounds. X3 has a towing capacity of 0. That's because the Maverick Sport has a receiver hitch. The X3 does not. I don't know if someone makes a kit where you can put one on the X3. If so, that's cool. Go ahead and put it on. You can probably tow 1,500 pounds too. Doors. Maverick Sport comes with excellent half doors on it. I love them. They're great.
Yeah, I like it.
X3 comes with that.
I just gotta watch that
stupid
XX so
quarter.
everything just feels.
Come on.
I don't know.
I think it's stupid.
Everything just doesn't.
That's my
feel
personal preference.
Good in it yet.
What's
like
the
tire
point?
Hangs I'm not used
I
to,
guess
and this
probably
machine, so I'm
the
just like,
lawyers say you need to have something there that holds people in. Let's give them a quarter door. Might as well just put a net on there. It's not better. So that's my rant on doors. Just kidding, guys.
You gotta kind of bump up it.
So, anyways, that's my rundown on these two models. It's just pretty basic. You just gotta kind of take a look at the terrain you're trying to run and see which machine's going to suit your needs best. So what are your thoughts? Is it worth the extra money to go with the X3 XRC? It gives you 20 extra horsepower, 4 inches more suspension travel. If you want to bump up the horsepower to 172, that's going to cost you about $1,600 if you go with Evo, Evolution Power Sports. Would your money be better spent on the X3 XRC RR? Those are coming in about 30 grand these days. That's a lot of money. What about the Sport? Does it check off all the boxes for you? Is the lack of suspension and horsepower compared to the X3 going to be a deal breaker for you? Let us know what you think. Maybe you drive a Polaris, Honda, Wildcat, or something else. What do you guys think of the Can-Am X3 and the Can-Am Maverick Sport? Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I'll be giving a 500-mile review update on my Can-Am Sport XRC soon, so keep an eye out for that. As always, guys, we really appreciate your support. If you haven't hit that like button, go ahead and do that. That just lets YouTube know that people are watching the video and they should suggest it to others. If you haven't subscribed, consider doing so. We'd really like it if you did. All right, guys, have a good one. We'll see you later.